The alien princess was shocked. Her husband is a human warrior. Princess Lyria walked through the grand halls of the palace, her long, flowing robes brushing the polished floors. Her mind was restless, filled with thoughts she could not shake. Today was the day she would meet her future husband, a human warrior. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Most aliens regarded them as primitive, fragile creatures who survived only through luck and stubbornness. Lyria had heard countless stories of humans fighting in distant wars, but she had always thought of them as curiosities, not equals. And now, one of them was to be her partner for life. Her personal assistant, a small alien with silver wings named Tyrell, hovered nearby. "Princess," Tyrell said in her soft, melodic voice, "the ceremony will begin in an hour. Are you prepared to meet him?" Lyria sighed, a mixture of anxiety and curiosity tightening her chest. "Prepared? I do not know Tyrell. I have studied humans from afar, but meeting one, it feels very different." Tyrell tilted his head. "Different is not always bad. Perhaps you will find him interesting." Lyria's lips curved into a faint smile. She wanted to believe that. She had read every report on humans sent by explorers. Their strange customs, their unpredictable behavior, their stubborn courage. Yet nothing could prepare her for actually seeing one in person. The palace doors opened with a soft hum, and a group of ambassadors and courtiers entered, signaling the arrival of the human delegation. Lyria watched as a tall figure stepped forward. His armor was worn, scratched from battle, but it seemed to fit him as though it were a second skin. The human's eyes, deep brown and alert, scanned the room quickly. He moved with a confidence that was not arrogant but earned, as if every step had meaning. "Princess Lyria," the human said, bowing slightly. His voice was firm and clear, carrying across the hall without hesitation. "I am Captain Marcus. I am honored to meet you." Lyria felt a jolt of surprise. He did not seem small, weak, or clumsy, as many of her people had warned. There was a presence about him, a quiet strength that was impossible to ignore. She stepped forward, returning his bow with careful precision. "Captain Marcus," she replied, "I welcome you to Zelthar." For a moment they simply studied each other. Marcus's gaze was steady, not questioning or doubtful, just observant. Lyria found herself searching for any hint of flaw, any sign of weakness. But all she saw was determination and something else, something strange and unfamiliar to her people: courage. The ceremony to mark their engagement was simple, yet elegant. Candles flickered in crystal holders, casting a soft glow over the audience of Zelthari nobles. The elders whispered among themselves, eyes flicking nervously toward the human. Some muttered warnings about how unpredictable humans were, while others shook their heads at what they considered the princess's poor judgment. Lyria ignored the whispers. She could feel a spark of curiosity about Marcus that she could not explain. This human, so different, so raw, so alive, was now tied to her future in ways she had never imagined. After the ceremony, Marcus was escorted to the royal quarters. Lyria decided she would observe him closely. She wanted to know if he was truly capable of living among them, not just surviving but thriving. When he entered the room, he paused, taking in the vast space filled with alien art and intricate furniture. "Your palace, it is unlike anything I have seen," he said, voice quiet but full of respect. "It is beautiful," Lyria nodded. "Zelthar is ancient. We value knowledge, art, and order." She studied him carefully. "Do you find it overwhelming?" Marcus shook his head. "No. I have faced chaos that makes this palace seem calm, but beauty, this is something else entirely. I can see why your people revere it." For the first time, Lyria laughed softly. His words were unexpected, honest, and simple. There was no flattery, only observation. That honesty was refreshing, and she realized that perhaps humans were not so different from her people after all. They just saw the world differently. Over the next few hours, Lyria showed Marcus parts of the palace that few others could enter. They walked along gardens where luminous plants glowed softly, corridors filled with statues of past rulers, and a library that contained records of thousands of years of history. Marcus asked questions constantly, not just polite ones, but curious, probing questions. He wanted to understand, not just observe. "You have lived here your whole life," Marcus said as they walked through the library. "Does it ever feel confining?" Lyria hesitated. She had never considered it that way. "Perhaps," she admitted. "I have duties I cannot escape. My life is expected to follow a path set by tradition." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. I know something about following paths set by others, but sometimes breaking from tradition can show us what we are truly capable of. His words lingered in her mind. There was something liberating about the way he spoke, a sense of freedom she had never known within the walls of her palace. Evening came, and the palace gardens glowed under the light of Zelthar's twin moons. Lyria and Marcus sat on a terrace, watching the stars. The night was quiet, save for the soft hum of alien insects and the distant call of night birds. "You are very different from what I imagined," Lyria admitted. "I thought humans would be simple, weak, not ready for what life among us requires." Marcus smiled faintly. "I have survived many challenges, Princess, and I have learned that strength comes in many forms. Sometimes it is in the body, and sometimes it is in the mind or the heart." Lyria considered his words. She could see now that the human's reputation for courage and unpredictability was not exaggerated. Marcus carried himself with a confidence that came from experience, not arrogance. Perhaps, she thought, there was more to this union than she had first believed. As the night deepened, a sense of tension mingled with excitement filled her chest. She did not know what the future would hold, but one thing was certain. Life with a human warrior would not be dull, and perhaps, just perhaps, it could be extraordinary. That night, as the palace slept under the twin moons, Lyria lay awake, thinking of Marcus. She did not yet understand him fully, but she knew that he had already begun to change her perspective on humans and on herself. And somewhere deep inside, a small spark of hope began to grow. Hope that this unexpected union might not just survive, but thrive in ways she had never imagined. The first meeting was only the beginning, but it had already left a mark of curiosity, of respect, and of a story yet to unfold. And Princess Lyria, once shocked and doubtful, felt the first stirrings of something she could not name, but knew was important. Outside, the twin suns had set completely, leaving the city bathed in silver moonlight. Inside the palace, a human and an alien princess sat in silence, two worlds colliding, two hearts beginning a journey neither fully understood, but both were ready to face it together. The morning sun of Zelthar bathed the palace in a soft, golden glow. Princess Lyria stood on the balcony of her quarters, looking over the sprawling city below. Her thoughts were consumed by Captain Marcus, the human warrior who had entered her life only a day ago. She could not stop thinking about his courage, his honesty, and the unusual way he observed everything around him. The palace gates opened, and a convoy of Zelthari guards approached, escorting Marcus. Today, Lyria had arranged a special tour, a chance for him to see the royal research facilities, the training grounds, and the fleet that protected the empire. She wanted to understand how this human could live in their world, where strength and intelligence were expected in every citizen. Marcus entered the balcony without hesitation. "Good morning, Princess," he said, his tone polite yet casual. "I hope I am not late." "You are right on time," Lyria replied, a small smile on her face. "Today you will see much of what makes Zelthar strong. Observe carefully and tell me what you think." They walked together through the palace corridors, their steps echoing softly. Marcus paused at every display, not merely looking but asking questions. He asked about the research laboratories where scientists experimented with energy sources that could power entire cities. He asked about the history of the royal fleet, about the victories and mistakes of past commanders, and about the strange machines that hovered silently above the city, ready to respond to any threat. "You have great knowledge," Marcus said after observing the labs. "But knowledge alone does not protect people. Strategy and courage are just as important." Lyria studied him closely. His words were simple, yet they carried a weight she had not expected. Most Zelthari believed knowledge was supreme, yet this human spoke of courage as if it were equal to knowledge. Perhaps he was naive, she thought, but his tone suggested he had experienced the value of bravery firsthand. Their tour led them to the training grounds, a vast open area where Zelthari warriors practiced combat. Lyria watched as Marcus observed the fighters. He did not laugh, mock, or dismiss them. Instead, he examined every move, every stance, and every decision. When the commander of the training grounds asked if he would like to join, Marcus did not hesitate. "I will try," he said simply. The warriors laughed softly among themselves, confident that a human could not match them. Marcus stepped forward. The first exercise was simple, a duel with a young warrior skilled in speed and agility. The young alien lunged, but Marcus anticipated the movement and sidestepped, using his opponent's momentum to gently throw him off balance. The crowd gasped. Again and again, Marcus adapted. He was not the strongest nor the fastest, but his instincts, his observations, and his ability to improvise allowed him to match warriors who had trained their whole lives. Lyria watched, her eyes widening. She had doubted humans, but Marcus was proving her wrong. After the training, they moved to the fleet hangar. The great ships hovered silently, ready for missions across the stars. Marcus ran his hands along the hull of one ship. "Your technology is advanced," he said, "but I notice you follow the same patterns for every defense. Predictability can be dangerous." "What do you mean?" Lyria asked, intrigued. "Even the strongest defenses fail if the enemy knows what to expect. Surprise is often stronger than power." Lyria frowned, considering his words. In Zelthar, tradition guided every battle strategy. Predictable patterns were considered a sign of order, and unpredictability was seen as reckless. Yet Marcus spoke with certainty, as if he had seen it work before. That evening, while they dined in the palace, a sudden alarm echoed through the halls. The sky above the city shimmered as small pirate ships emerged from the outer atmosphere. They were fast, armed with energy weapons, and clearly intending to raid the city. Panic spread quickly, but Lyria noticed Marcus rise immediately, calm but alert. "Stay here," he said, but his eyes met hers. "I will help defend the city. Follow my lead if you need to." The palace guards hesitated. Many of them had been trained their whole lives for such threats, yet Marcus moved past them with quick, efficient steps. He coordinated the defenses in a way that was unorthodox but effective. Using smaller ships in unexpected ways, he redirected enemy fire and shielded key areas of the city. From her balcony, Lyria watched in awe. The human warrior moved with precision, making decisions in seconds that would have taken the Council of Zelthari hours to debate. He anticipated the pirates' movements, adapted to their tactics, and saved dozens of lives. When the last pirate ship retreated, the city was intact. The palace guards stared at Marcus with a mixture of fear and respect. Lyria could hardly believe what she had seen. You saved the city," she whispered. Marcus shrugged lightly. "I did what needed to be done. Strength and courage matter as much as strategy." Her heart raced. For the first time, Lyria realized that humans were not weak. They were different, unpredictable, and dangerous in a way her people rarely appreciated. Yet that danger could be a gift, a strength that could rival even the most advanced alien civilizations. The next day, the court gathered to discuss the attack. Many nobles questioned Marcus's methods. "He is reckless," one elder exclaimed. "A human cannot understand our traditions. He endangered the city." Lyria stood before them, her voice steady. "Captain Marcus acted decisively and saved countless lives. Tradition is important, yes, but we cannot ignore effectiveness when it appears before us." A murmur ran through the court. Some nodded in agreement, while others whispered their doubts. Lyria met Marcus's eyes across the room, seeing only calm determination. It was clear he was not here to challenge her, but to protect and serve in the way he knew best. Over the following weeks, Marcus continued to demonstrate his value. He trained with the warriors, offering new techniques that combined human creativity with Zelthari discipline. He studied the Empire's history, learning lessons quickly and applying them in practical ways. Lyria observed him constantly, noting how he earned respect not by demanding it, but by showing courage, wisdom, and humility. One afternoon, Lyria took Marcus to a high tower overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky with gold and violet hues. "Do you ever fear failure?" she asked softly. Marcus shook his head. "Fear is natural, but it should not control you. I have failed many times, Princess, but every failure teaches something. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting despite it." Lyria felt a warmth in her chest. These words were simple, yet profound. Perhaps humans were not just strong in body, they were strong in spirit. She had thought the engagement would be difficult, even humiliating, but she could see now that she had much to learn from this human warrior. As the night fell, the city glittered below them. Lyria realized that the human before her was changing her perspective, challenging her beliefs, and opening her mind to possibilities she had never considered. Marcus had tested boundaries, not just the limits of his own abilities, but the limits of hers. And though she did not yet fully understand him, Lyria felt a growing respect, and perhaps even trust, for this strange, courageous human who had entered her life and the Empire's history with a quiet, undeniable power. The first trials were over, but Lyria knew that more challenges awaited them. The galaxy was vast, and threats were never far. Yet she felt a spark of hope that with Marcus by her side, humans might finally be seen as more than curiosities. They might be recognized for what they truly were: brave, unpredictable, and extraordinary. That night, as she gazed at the stars, Lyria understood something she had never admitted before. The human warrior was not just her husband-to-be. He was a symbol of change, of courage, and of the unexpected strength that humans carried within them. And she, Princess of Zelthar, was ready to follow him into whatever challenges awaited. The city slept, unaware of the lessons learned that day. But for Lyria and Marcus, a bond was forming, one built on respect, bravery, and the knowledge that together they could face anything. The palace of Zelthar was unusually quiet that morning, but the calm was only a fragile illusion. Princess Lyria walked through the grand halls with Captain Marcus at her side. She had begun to see him not just as her future husband, but as a partner in thought and action. His human perspective was strange, unpredictable, and yet it brought clarity where Zelthari tradition often confused her. "Princess," Marcus said, adjusting the strap of his gear, "there is something I must point out. The council will try to follow old rules, even when they no longer serve the people. I suggest you watch them closely." Lyria smiled faintly. "I have begun to notice that, yes, and you are right. Tradition is useful, but it should not bind us. There is danger in rigid thinking." They entered the throne room, where the council of nobles had gathered. The walls were lined with tapestries depicting ancient battles, and the air smelled faintly of incense. The elders' eyes flicked toward Marcus as he walked in. Some bore curiosity, others barely concealed disapproval. The first topic was a troubling one. Intelligence reports indicated that rival alien houses were plotting against the Zelthari throne. Lyria listened carefully as the council debated, following centuries of procedure that emphasized caution and consensus. Marcus, however, remained silent for the first few minutes, studying the room. Finally, he spoke. "Your plans rely on waiting for the enemy to act first," he said. His voice was calm, but it carried authority. "Waiting gives them control. You must strike first, not recklessly, but strategically. Use their assumptions against them." The room fell silent. The elders exchanged nervous glances. Some whispered, questioning the wisdom of listening to a human, but Lyria saw the logic in his words. She had always respected humans for their ability to act decisively under pressure, and now she realized that his insight could save the Empire. "Explain," she said, meeting his gaze. Marcus stepped forward. "We must anticipate their moves. Gather information, then divide the threats into parts. Each small action should mislead them, make them underestimate you. Then, when they least expect it, act decisively." A murmur went through the council. The oldest elder, a sharp-eyed alien named Malverin, scowled. "You speak as though you know our enemies better than we do. You are human. You do not understand the subtleties of Zelthari politics." Marcus did not flinch. "Perhaps, but I understand unpredictability. And in my experience, relying only on subtleties can leave a kingdom vulnerable." Lyria's eyes met Marcus's. His courage was quiet, unassuming, but it commanded attention. She stood taller, addressing the council. "Captain Marcus has shown wisdom in past challenges. I ask you all to consider his advice carefully. We may need to act in ways unfamiliar to us." Reluctantly, the council nodded. Though some remained skeptical, the discussion moved forward with Marcus's strategies shaping their decisions. After the meeting, Lyria and Marcus walked through the palace gardens, the alien flora glowing softly under Zelthar's twin moons. "They do not trust you easily," Lyria said. Marcus shrugged. "Trust is earned, not given. I do not expect it immediately. I only want to help, and the results will speak for themselves." Days later, intelligence confirmed the rumors. Rival houses were indeed plotting to overthrow Lyria's throne. They had recruited mercenaries and spies, planning to attack during the upcoming Festival of Lights, a celebration of Zelthar's founding. The council began to panic, debating endless possibilities. Lyria, however, felt calm. Marcus's strategies had already shown her a path forward. They gathered the royal guards in the main hall. Marcus led the training, teaching the guards techniques that combined human improvisation with Zelthari discipline. Some warriors struggled at first, resistant to methods that broke tradition, but Marcus's calm guidance and quick corrections allowed them to adapt. "You see, unpredictability is not weakness," Marcus explained. "It is strength. If your enemies cannot predict you, they cannot defeat you easily." Lyria watched as the guards absorbed his teachings, seeing the spark of realization in their eyes. For the first time, some of the skeptical nobles admitted, at least quietly, that humans might offer more than curiosity, they might offer survival. The night before the festival, Marcus and Lyria walked along the palace ramparts. The city below glittered with lights, and the gentle hum of the air vehicles created a soft, constant rhythm. "Do you ever feel alone in this?" Lyria asked, her voice quiet. "You are so far from your world, everything here is strange to you." Marcus looked out at the city, his expression thoughtful. "Perhaps, but I am not truly alone. I have purpose and I have allies who trust me, and now I have you." Lyria felt a warmth in her chest. The connection between them was growing, not fast, but steadily, like a fire kindling. She could sense his loyalty, his courage, and his genuine respect for her. The festival began under the twin sun's soft evening glow. Citizens filled the streets, waving banners and lighting lanterns. Music and laughter echoed through the city. Yet beneath the celebration, Marcus and Lyria felt the tension of knowing that danger lurked nearby. Suddenly, alarms blared across the city. Spies had infiltrated the festival, triggering small explosions near key points. Panic spread, but Marcus and Lyria remained composed. "Follow my lead," Marcus said firmly. "Stay close." The human warrior moved quickly, coordinating palace guards, securing civilians, and neutralizing the threat with precision. Lyria marveled at his ability to assess danger, make decisions instantly, and act without hesitation. Where the Zelthari relied on long debate and cautious measures, Marcus relied on observation, logic, and intuition. Together, they turned what could have been chaos into a controlled response. The intruders were captured, the citizens protected, and the festival continued with minimal disruption. The people cheered, not just for the event, but for the bravery of the human warrior and their princess. Afterward, in the quiet of the palace, Lyria turned to Marcus. You have done more than I expected. The council will finally see your value." Marcus shook his head modestly. "I only did what needed to be done. Results matter more than recognition, but I am glad to help." For the first time, Lyria felt a deeper trust in him, not just as a protector, but as a partner. She realized that humans could offer something her people rarely did: adaptability, creativity, and courage in the face of the unknown. The following weeks were filled with diplomatic challenges. Rival houses sent ambassadors, seeking favors or attempting to undermine Lyria's rule. Marcus assisted with strategy, advising on negotiations, suggesting compromises that protected the empire without showing weakness. "Humans do not always follow tradition," Marcus said during one council meeting. "But we understand negotiation. Sometimes letting an enemy think they have won a small battle can prevent a larger one later. Patience and timing are as important as strength." Lyria nodded. His words were simple, yet effective. The Zelthari elders were reluctant to admit it, but they could not ignore that Marcus's strategies worked. Slowly, he earned respect, not just from Lyria, but from many in the court. One evening, as the twin moons rose over Zelthar, Lyria and Marcus stood on the palace terrace. "I have learned much from you," Lyria said softly. "Not just about humans, but about leadership, courage, and seeing beyond tradition." Marcus smiled. "And I have learned from you, Princess. Leadership is not just about rules or power. It is about understanding people, protecting them, and inspiring them to be their best." Lyria felt a deep admiration for him. She had thought humans were simple, fragile, and unpredictable. But Marcus had shown her that they were resilient, brave, and capable of wisdom her own people often overlooked. That night, as the city slept under the gentle glow of the twin moons, Lyria understood that the human warrior was more than her husband-to-be. He was a symbol of change, a bridge between worlds, and a reminder that strength comes in many forms. The rival houses would not stop plotting, and challenges would come again. But with Marcus at her side, Lyria felt ready. Together, they could face deceit, danger, and the uncertainties of the galaxy. And for the first time, she saw a future where humans were not just tolerated. They were respected, valued, and essential to the survival of Zelthar. The skies above Zelthar had grown dark and tense. The twin suns were hidden behind stormy clouds, casting an unusual gray light over the capital city. Princess Lyria stood on the palace balcony, her eyes scanning the horizon. Reports had arrived that a coalition of rival alien houses had formed, planning a full-scale assault on the city. Captain Marcus stood beside her, calm yet alert. "They are organized," he said, "but not invincible. If we act carefully and decisively, we can defend the city and send a clear message that Zelthar will not fall." Lyria nodded. Her mind was racing, thinking of her people, her duty, and the lives at stake. "We must protect them at all costs," she said. "No mistakes can be made." The palace was alive with activity. Guards, scientists, and engineers moved quickly, preparing defensive measures under Marcus's guidance. Unlike the Zelthari, who often relied on tradition, Marcus suggested unconventional strategies, hidden traps, decoy ships, and flexible formations that could respond to unexpected attacks. Many elders whispered their doubts, unsure whether a human's methods could truly work against a coalition of powerful alien forces. As the enemy fleet approached, Marcus led a small squadron to patrol the outer perimeter. He moved with precision, analyzing every movement of the incoming ships. "They will expect a direct attack," he said. "We will give them a false sense of control, then we strike where they least expect it." Lyria watched from the control tower as the enemy fleet advanced. Their ships were massive, armed with energy cannons that could destroy entire districts. Zelthari defensive shields flared in response, and the city trembled slightly under the first impacts. Marcus's plan began in action. Small decoy ships moved outward, drawing the enemy into predictable paths. Hidden weapon platforms activated, striking at weak points the invaders did not expect. Lyria observed in awe as Marcus coordinated the defense, giving orders calmly and clearly, adapting instantly to every movement of the enemy. One of the elder generals, skeptical and proud, approached Lyria. "Princess, this human's tactics are unusual. Are you sure we should trust them?" Lyria's gaze was fixed on Marcus, who had just redirected several enemy ships away from the city center. "I trust him," she said firmly, "and right now his judgment is saving lives. That is all that matters." As the battle raged, Marcus noticed a group of enemy ships attempting to flank the city from the south. "We need to cut them off," he shouted. "Lyria, can you mobilize the southern defense towers?" Lyria quickly relayed the orders. The towers fired, creating a barrier of energy that forced the enemy into a narrow corridor. Marcus led a small squadron through the opening, attacking the flanking ships with precise strikes. His human instincts for unpredictability and improvisation made the enemy hesitate, unsure of what move would come next. In the city streets, the Zelthari citizens watched from safe zones. Many had doubted Marcus, but now they saw his courage in action. Stories would later tell of the human warrior who had guided the city through the storm of battle, who had acted decisively when others hesitated. Hours passed. The battle continued, intense and exhausting. Marcus and Lyria moved between the control tower and the city perimeter, ensuring that the defenses held and that civilians were protected. The enemy fleet, frustrated and confused by the unpredictable strategies, began to retreat. Lyria exhaled, relief washing over her. She turned to Marcus. You have done the impossible," she said. "Even our best generals could not have held them off so effectively." Marcus shook his head. "It is never impossible, only unexpected. They relied on patterns and assumptions. We acted differently." That is the advantage of seeing the situation from another perspective. The council, once skeptical, approached them with newfound respect. Malverin, the elder who had doubted him, bowed slightly. "Human, your methods are effective." "Perhaps there is much we have underestimated about your people." Marcus smiled faintly. "I do not seek praise, I only seek to protect and serve, but I am glad it worked." After the battle, Lyria walked through the city streets with Marcus. The citizens cheered and waved banners, celebrating the victory. Children ran beside them, laughing and calling Marcus a hero. Zelthari soldiers and scientists nodded with respect, having witnessed the value of human ingenuity and courage firsthand. "This is remarkable," Lyria said softly, turning to Marcus. "You have changed the way my people see humans. They will no longer consider us fragile or simple." Marcus shrugged, modest. "I only did what I could, but you showed me what it means to lead wisely and decisively. I have learned as much from you as you have from me." The next days were filled with rebuilding and preparation for future threats. Zelthar had survived, but the galaxy remained unpredictable. Lyria and Marcus worked side by side, planning for diplomacy, defense, and the protection of their people. One evening, as the city lights twinkled below, Lyria stood with Marcus on a high tower overlooking the horizon. "Do you ever tire of battle?" she asked. Marcus shook his head. "Fear and danger are part of life. I do not fear them. I only act. That is all anyone can do, act with courage and purpose." Lyria smiled. She could see now that courage was not merely physical. It was mental, emotional, and moral. Humans had a way of facing the unknown, of adapting, and of inspiring those around them. Marcus had shown her that. "We will face more challenges," Lyria said, her voice firm. "But I feel ready. With you by my side, I believe we can face anything." Marcus looked at her with quiet determination. "Together," he said simply. The weeks that followed were filled with preparation for possible retaliation from rival houses. Marcus continued training the Zelthari soldiers, teaching them adaptability, observation, and improvisation. Lyria continued learning from him, understanding that leadership required courage, insight, and the willingness to embrace the unexpected. Then, one morning, a messenger arrived with urgent news. A fleet of unknown ships had been detected approaching from the outer rim of the galaxy. Their origin was unknown, their intentions unclear, but their presence suggested danger. Lyria turned to Marcus, her mind racing. "Another challenge," she said, her tone steady. "Are we ready?" Marcus smiled faintly, his eyes sharp with focus. "We have learned much, Princess. Whatever comes, we face it together with courage, intelligence, and determination. Humans are not fragile. We adapt, we survive, and we fight. And now you see it too." Lyria felt a surge of pride, not just for Marcus, but for herself, her people, and the partnership that had grown between them. The battle had proven one thing: humans could be more than allies. They could be heroes, leaders, and a force that could change the course of empires. As the twin moons rose over Zelthar, casting silver light over the city, Lyria understood something profound. The human warrior beside her had not only saved the city, he had opened her mind and heart to possibilities she had never imagined. And in the quiet of the palace, as the stars glittered above, Lyria and Marcus prepared for whatever challenges awaited, knowing that together they could face the unknown, and that humanity, once underestimated, had proven its extraordinary strength. The city of Zelthar was calm. For the first time in weeks, the twin suns rose over the horizon, casting golden light over the crystal towers and bustling streets. Princess Lyria walked through the palace gardens with Captain Marcus at her side. Their victory over the rival houses had been decisive, but more than that, it had changed the way the people of Zelthar viewed humans. Citizens lined the streets as Lyria and Marcus made their way to the central plaza. Children waved flags, soldiers saluted, and merchants cheered. The city had survived not only through strength, but through courage, ingenuity, and the collaboration of two worlds. Lyria turned to Marcus, her eyes bright with pride. "Do you see this?" she asked. "The people, they respect you now. They see what I have known from the beginning, that humans are more than they expected." Marcus shook his head modestly. "I did nothing extraordinary. I only acted when needed, but I am glad to see the result. The people's respect is earned through action, not words." The plaza was filled with the council of nobles, many of whom had once doubted Marcus's abilities. Malverin, the eldest among them, approached Lyria with a solemn expression. "Princess," he said carefully, "I admit my mistake. Captain Marcus's tactics, his courage, and his wisdom, they have saved the city and proved that humans are capable of greatness." Marcus inclined his head respectfully. "Thank you, Elder Malverin. I am honored to serve Zelthar and its people. I only wish to protect and guide where I can." Lyria felt a warmth in her chest. She had watched Marcus grow from an outsider into a leader respected by her people. His courage, ingenuity, and humility had earned him not just admiration, but trust. And through him, the people of Zelthar were beginning to see humans in a new light. The celebrations continued through the day. Music filled the streets, lanterns floated in the sky, and laughter echoed through the plaza. But even amid joy, Lyria and Marcus remained vigilant. They both knew the galaxy was vast, full of threats and challenges yet to come. In the quiet of the palace, Lyria met with Marcus to discuss the future. "The rival houses will not stop," she said. "They may try again or they may form new alliances. We need to prepare for what comes next." Marcus nodded. Preparation is important. But we must also remember that courage, creativity, and cooperation are as strong as any weapon or shield. The people now understand that. They know that unpredictability and intelligence together create strength. Lyria looked at him thoughtfully. You have taught me much, Marcus, not just about humans, but about leadership, courage, and vision. I feel stronger, more confident. With you by my side, I believe we can face anything. Marcus smiled. And I have learned from you, Princess. Leadership is not only about strength or knowledge. It is about understanding, guiding, and inspiring people. You have shown me how to lead not only with action, but with heart. In the days that followed, Lyria and Marcus worked together to strengthen the empire. They reorganized the council to include human-inspired strategies alongside traditional Zelthari methods. They trained the military to be adaptable, combining the discipline of Zelthari warriors with the improvisation and intuition of humans. The people began to see a new way forward. Stories spread across the city of a human warrior who had fought beside their princess, who had guided them to safety and taught them the value of courage and ingenuity. Zelthari children drew pictures of Marcus, imagining themselves as brave warriors ready to protect their home. Lyria took pride in seeing the change. Humans, once underestimated, were now recognized for their potential. She knew that the alliance between humans and Zelthari would strengthen not just the city, but the entire empire. One afternoon, a delegation from a distant planet arrived. They had heard of Marcus's actions and sought to form alliances with Zelthar, believing that humans were not to be underestimated. Lyria and Marcus welcomed them, showing that trust and respect could cross worlds, cultures, and species. "See, Princess," Marcus said quietly. "Humans are no longer just curiosities. They are partners, allies, and friends. The galaxy will recognize them just as your people have." Lyria nodded. She felt hope for the future. The trials they had faced, the skepticism, the battles, and the political challenges had all led to this moment. Together, they had proven that humans could rise to greatness, not through technology alone, but through courage, creativity, and determination. As the sun set over Zelthar, casting long shadows across the crystal towers, Lyria and Marcus stood together on the highest balcony of the palace. The city below glittered with life, and the people cheered for the leaders who had guided them through danger. "We have accomplished much," Lyria said softly, "but the galaxy is vast. There will always be new challenges." Marcus looked at her with steady eyes. "And we will face them together. Humans are not weak. They adapt, they fight, and they survive. And now you see it too." Lyria reached out, taking his hand. "Yes, I see it, and I believe in it. I believe in us." For the first time, she felt a deep sense of peace. The city was safe, the people were inspired, and humanity had earned its place in the hearts and minds of the Zelthari. Together, they had faced the impossible and emerged stronger. As the twin moons rose, casting silver light over the city, Lyria realized that this was more than a victory. It was the beginning of a new era. An era where humans were respected, valued, and recognized for their unique strengths. An era where courage, intelligence, and cooperation across worlds could shape the galaxy. The celebration continued late into the night, but Lyria and Marcus stayed on the balcony watching the stars. "Do you ever dream about the future?" Lyria asked. Marcus smiled faintly. "Every day, and I see hope. Not just for humans or Zelthari, but for everyone willing to act with courage and integrity. The future belongs to those who are brave enough to shape it." Lyria leaned close, her voice filled with certainty. "Then we will shape it together, humans and Zelthari, side by side. Protecting, guiding, and inspiring all who look to the stars." Marcus nodded. "Together." And in that moment, under the twin moons and glittering stars of Zelthar, the princess and the human warrior knew that the galaxy had changed. Not because of weapons or technology alone, but because humans had shown their true strength, courage, intelligence, and the ability to rise to any challenge. The empire had survived, the people had grown stronger, and a human warrior had proven that the smallest spark of courage could ignite a revolution in the hearts of an entire civilization. Princess Lyria smiled, her heart full. She had begun the journey doubtful and hesitant, shocked by her future husband's humanity. Now she understood the truth. Strength comes not only from power, tradition, or technology, but from heart, mind, and spirit. And Captain Marcus, the human warrior, had shown her that humans, though once underestimated, were capable of greatness beyond imagination. The city slept peacefully, The stars shone brightly above, and the palace stood as a symbol of unity, courage, and hope. The human warrior and the alien princess had faced the trials together, and now they would face the future together, heralding a new era where humans were celebrated, respected, and remembered as heroes of Zelthar. The story of courage, ingenuity, and unexpected alliance had reached its peak. But for Lyria and Marcus, it was only the beginning. The galaxy awaited, full of opportunities, challenges, and adventures that would test their strength, their courage, and the bond they had forged. And together they were ready,